Good evening, everyone. My name is No Rhythm. I am the editor and creator of Daily Dose of Hype, the Street Fighter combo compilation, as you might already know about that. Today, I'm going to show you guys how to improve and make a combo video in the style of Daily Dose of Hype. This style is how I make my combo videos, and I would like to show some of my tricks and techniques with you guys. I'll be taking answers and questions later on in the stream. Don't worry, I'll be looking at your comments. But I would like to do a nice little small course with all of you guys and show you what really goes behind the scenes of my videos and explain what will explain my process as well as some of my methods and so on and so forth. I'll also be telling you what tools I use. I may not tell you all the tools that I use, seeing that some of the tools I use tend to, in better words, manipulate the game to allow me to get certain effects as well as certain camera angles. So if you want to know more about that, DM me on Twitter and I could try to get you in on it. But besides that, let's focus on what we're going to be doing today. When I do a lot of editing videos in the beginning, the problem I usually have is that I get very overwhelmed. And I usually edit videos such as I show you guys what Daily Dose of Hype I'm working on. And I tend to get really flustered. I tend to go back and forth and try to over-explain something that I'm already working on. So I decided not to do that today and decided to show you a small little demonstration and certain things. So before we jump into the whole complexity of how I make my videos and focusing on themes, music, and synchronicity, I would like just to focus on only one subject at the time. And so far I'm going to be cutting up some of these streams. These streams are going to be somewhat of a session. So if you guys are interested and you wish to learn to improve on making combo videos or even improve on your stream highlights, because you could also use the same techniques for stream highlights, and somewhat they give you a pretty good result. I'm terribly sorry if I'm stuttering. I'm kind of just woke up, so forgive me for that. So what are we learning today? Or should I say, so first of all, before we jump into that, let me say this. The program I use to edit my videos is Filmora 11. So Windows Share Filmora 11. Anyone who's getting into content creation, it doesn't actually have to be fighting game related, but it does help. It does help because it has a lot of features. Filmora 11 is actually a very, very good starting up editor program. It's a good for beginners, and I do recommend it. It's also fairly cheap. So if you are on a tight budget, Filmora is actually a good program to use, and it really helps you, shows you how editing videos go. I will not be showing you all the details of Filmora. I will just be showing you the key tools what I use for the videos I make. So if you want to learn more about Filmora, I would recommend go on YouTube, check out their tutorial videos. Actually don't really need to, because Filmora does already a good job of showing you what goes where and how to use what. So it's really good. Very important thing, I am not sponsored by Windows Share Filmora. I am 100% not sponsored by them. I'm just literally telling you guys from pure experience that Filmora is actually a really good tool for beginners. I've been saying that a lot, so let's get into the lesson. So I would like to bring up one thing when it comes to editing my videos, is that what's a very important thing, what a lot of people tend to see, is transitions and movement. So far, when it comes to Daily Dose of Hype or a combo video, the one thing what people tend to look at all the time is is of course the characters who are performing the combos, and you really want to get a person's attention. And how you do that, you get their attention when the action starts. So so what makes my videos different from other compilation videos, some compilation videos tend to show you the entirety of the match. I tend to focus only on the key points where the action gets started. So for example, let me show you right over here. The first clip what we have is a Ryu and a Bison. I'm only going to show you this. So I'm going to only show you this. So Ryu and Bison. So far, if I'm showing you a video and I'm starting up a video, I'll show you right away when the action starts. So example like this, the first couple of seconds. So that would be an example of how I would get to start a video started. Already get the characters moving. Get the characters moving. So usually when a lot of videos demonstrate combo videos for Street Fighter V, they tend to show you the whole match or a portion of the match. So the one thing what I try to avoid is to get stuck in that it's stuck in just like a dead zone. So a dead zone will be example like if the two characters are playing footsies in the neutral game, they're going back and forth or poking each other, trying fireballs, and it takes a good like 10 to 30 seconds to get the action started. I cut out the middleman and I right away show the viewer when people start trading hits, when the combo starts. So if you see a lot of my videos, every single character is in movement. That includes the beginning all the way to the end. So another example would be if a character does a combo, and then it leads to the stun. If the player is literally just standing there for a good like 5 seconds. 5 to 8 seconds, just doing absolutely nothing, waiting for the model just to get up. Right away. The momentum is broke. The movement is canceled, and it just stops the entire video on its tracks. So the key thing is to just keep up momentum. And the reason why I showed you this Bison clip is momentum. Keep the momentum going. As you keep the momentum going, the person will be concentrated on your viewer will be more interested to keep on watching. If it just stops, then it's like, oh, okay, then just you lose that second of interest, and every second of interest counts when making a combo video. Every second of interest counts. So if there's a dead zone, if right away they just go back into neutral and they spend literally 10 seconds, I don't know why I said minutes, they spend 10 seconds in the neutral doing footsies, or they're basically doing nothing, waiting for a character to be unstunned, or they're just teabagging, it just breaks the momentum and it breaks the flow of the entire combo video, because the main thing you want to keep is the momentum going. You want to keep everything moving. That's also why I don't really show the KOs. I make sure that if a combo is going to be finished, it has to lead to either a KO or a stun to show that the person actually won the fight. Sometimes I don't like showing the KOs, so I just transition to another scene, because I kind of have a philosophy of keeping that momentum going. So when a character finishes their combo, the next scene is a character kind of continuing the combo. So that's the next thing I'm going to show you right now. Let me give you an example of what I just said. So right away, we're going to cut this clip. So you can see it's pretty long. So it stops there. So what we want to do is that we want to cut the key point where Bison goes through Ryu. Because the one thing is that not only that we have to keep the momentum going, we also have to make sure that the characters that the camera follows the character. Why? I'll show you. So we're going to go. So right after Bison does Psycho Crusher, the camera, as you could tell, moves a little bit to the right and a little bit up because it's following Ryu because he's airborne. So we're going to try to get a position where the camera moves, but it doesn't move upwards. So right away we'll rewind backwards, and we'll as the hit goes on, and it moves slightly forward. So we're gonna stop here. So this is a perfect. This is perfect. This is a perfect place we could cut. So we're gonna cut it off. The thing is that the camera is also a very, very important to the momentum of the fight, because the camera helps the viewer keeps the viewer focused on what they're watching. What I really like about Street Fighter V is because unlike other fighting games, let's say like Guilty Gears or Marvel, when there's a lot of effects happening and there's a lot of camera movement, these games have a lot of that going on. And Street Fighter V is very, very vanilla, so it's easier to keep that consistent momentum what I was talking about. So Street Fighter V is really, really good with combo videos because you could go really creative what you could do. So right over here we have a Balrog. So let me show you what the Balrog does. I just want to check if it's the right clip. Yeah, I think this is it. I think this is the Balrog. So, another clip. So, basically, you could tell that the Balrog is moving towards the right. So, is also following the same movement as the Bison player. So, this is something what I like to call kinetic transitions. Kinetic transitions is basically if a character performs a KO with a similar force as So kinetic transitions is when a character actually delivers a significant blow and a transition to the other clip. The other clip should be doing somewhat the same type of force as the previous clip. So the Psycho Crusher, as you could tell, the Psycho Crusher has a certain meaty hit to it. Like the Psycho, you could tell that. So you could tell that the Psycho Crusher, just by looking at it, we're gonna turn off the sound, has quite of a meaty hit to it. So what we could use, so it has that kind of force, that kind of like kinetic hit to it. So what we could do to actually, how could I say it? To actually complement that is to complement the Psycho Crusher's meaty hit with another very meaty hit. And who hits the hardest? That's right, that will be Balrog. And not only that Balrog hits hard, but he keeps that same momentum, that same kind of momentum of the Psycho Crusher. So those two really connect to each other. So I'll show you what I mean right now. So right away, we're gonna cut the part where he's doing the V trigger, and we're going to move. So you're wondering when is a good time to show the hit. So usually I like it when Balrog is just winding up. There's a reason why. So we're going to cut this out and clip that. And now we're going to watch it. So what you saw right there, so right away, as you could tell, I did not clip all of it out. It looks kind of weird. So you see this? So Bison hits and he passes true. But at the same time, it's not complementing the other clip of Balrog landing a hit. So right away, we need to make sure that when Bison does the Psycho Crusher, he confirms a hit. So let's do that again. So right away, Psycho Crusher, and it continues to Balrog hitting. So yeah, so there's that. So you might be wondering, NR, I see what you mean, but it doesn't really translate well. That's where the transitions come in. So when I do transitions, I always make sure that the transition I'm using is actually complementary of the kinetic force. So if as you could tell, Bison does Psycho Crusher and it moves towards the right. So I want moves towards the right to Balrog continuing his his straight punch. So what I want to do is get a transition what transitions to the right, what does a nice moving transition all the way to the right. So let's do that right now. So the one thing about Filmora is that they give you a bunch of options of transitions. What I like to use most of the time, I like to use the speed blur transitions because they actually do some really nice transitions when it comes to moving, when it comes to changing scenes. So let me give you an example. Of that. So right away, so when you put down a transition, right? When you put down this transition, you have to shorten it because the transition takes a lot. The transition takes a lot of footage space. It takes a lot of your frames, and the thing is that the gray part, as you see here, or let me move myself. Sorry, I'm in the way. Okay, you see this gray part right here, the gray part on the transition. So this is the animation of the transition. So as we're gonna play it right now. You see what I mean? So you could tell that the transition is already taking animation. So we need to shorten it up so the transition syncs, does its animation at the same time Bison lands his hit. So we're going to have to shorten it. Usually I like to shorten my transitions to 12 milliseconds. 12 to 14 milliseconds. It also depends on how much footage I cut. So when I'm putting in my transitions, what I like to do for every single clip, I rewatch every single clip to see how each transition complements the two clips. So sometimes at times when I'm watching, I realize that transition didn't do well because I was using too much derivation, or I need to extend the clip, or I have to reduce the clip, and so on and so forth. So right now, we're going to check how it looks. So I think that looks good. So look. So it's literally, so the derivation of the transition is perfect, and I clipped, I cut the replay, so it is perfectly in sync with the transition. So it's showing you the hit. It's showing you the hit as well as showing you the animation, the transition animation towards Balrog. So let's watch it again. So we'll watch the whole thing again. Boom, hit. It hits and it moves to Balrog. So you see how that complements the two clips. All of this together leads into what I like to call kinetic transitioning. Because there is a constant moment there, because there's the mixture of momentum, force, and momentum and force. What complements the entirety of those two clips, and it actually helps your viewers keep focused. So remember what I told you about camera, about keeping and concentration and camera work. So as you could tell, your viewer is already watching the whole thing, watching it all go down, keeping their eye on Bison and his small little combo, and then it transitions because right away your eye is already fixated on the is already fixated. It's already following Bison. It's already following Bison, moving to the right, and then when it transitions, it moves on to Balrog. What also is kind of like, if you're watching this video on YouTube, your viewer's like, whoa, I was not suspecting that. You know, it's like it transfers to Balrog, so right away the player is fixated. They're already following. You got their attention. Yeah, you right away got their attention. So they're already focused on the video at hand. They're focused on the character, and so on and so forth. So we're going to continue with this kinetic transitioning. Now we're going to talk about hold on, let me place myself properly. Okay. Right now we're also going to talk about one key important thing. Let's go again. Movement, transition, movement, and camera focus once more. So the thing is that I already showed you these two clips. So when a character is moving to the right and lands, when a character is moving to the right and finishes another character, you would want to keep that momentum going. Right, you want to keep that momentum going. So the momentum moves on to Balrog. What does his straight combo punch into a super? So here's the thing: when it comes to supers, there's a lot of things that I use to try to transition supers, because supers usually, when it comes to a super, they usually the camera focuses in the middle, usually. So usually there's a big cinematic, and the camera will be focusing directly at what the character is doing. So usually during the end of the super, it is mostly going to be fixated and centralized towards that finisher. So what I like to do at times is that I mostly don't use any, let's go again, transitions that actually like move you. I like to use centered transitions that like what just focuses on the center camera. So kind of like I use warping transitions, I use, zoom in transitions, and so on and so forth. So for this Balrog, you might be asking, yeah, but Balrog super, in that couple frames, he's punching to the right. So should you continue, moving right? Here's the thing. I can, but the force of Balrog's punch, the kinetic, we're going back to kinetic force again, because of Balrog's punch being so fucking, like, not only meaty but powerful, and you could tell that it's powerful just from watching the video. So as you could tell, it's hard to find a character in Street Fighter to match that force, that kinetic force. You could say you could do Abigail. Yeah, you could use Abigail's charge. The Abigail charge could complement it, but if it's hard to complement that significant force. What I could also do is also, let's go again, splice a clip of a Balrog finishing his super, and then after that chasing down his knocked out victim, or the victim doing a comeback. So there's that. So one thing at a time. So let's focus back on the kinetic force of the punch. The kinetic force of the punch is really great. So we need to match the kinetic force to that punch. So how can we do that? Simple. V-trigger. So right away when Balrog lands a punch, we're going to use a clip of a character activating their V-trigger. So let's take Bison activating their V-trigger like that. Well, right away we're going to clip when Bison activates his V-trigger. So some of you guys may be wondering that in my Daily Dose of Hype videos, my V-trigger is a little bit different compared to what you watch on like other combo videos. So here's the thing: I add certain effects to the V trigger. So let me explain. So right away, when I add a shaking effect to the V trigger just to give that sense of oomph, that giant, like when you activate a V trigger, it feels like a punch in the gut. It's an explosion. It's a big aura explosion. And the thing is that in Street Fighter V, as you activate V trigger, you could definitely see that kind of that explosive energy, but you don't really feel it. So I add a shaking effect. Most likely the reason why they don't add a shaking effect is mostly it's just going to be kind of disorienting for competitive players. I don't blame them. So what we're going to add a shaking effect, but we don't add the shaking effect during the beginning. No. We add the shaking effect when the screen starts getting a bit dark, before the shockwave that you see, that ring, before the ring shockwave, I will be adding the shaking effect right before the shockwave. So I'll show you what I mean. So we're gonna go to effects. We're gonna go to filters. We're gonna go to shake, and we're gonna go to Chaos 2. We're gonna move it like here. Yeah, that's nice. So what I like to do is that I would like to keep the shaking effects duration around 20 milliseconds. 20 milliseconds or 50 milliseconds. It depends on the V trigger. So when it's done, so basically when it's done. So we're gonna cut it right here. Ooh, 40 mil. No. That's too much. You don't want the camera to be shaking all the time. You want the camera, you only want it to shake for a bit. So let's watch it now. All right. We'll watch it again. I think it's a little bit too much. I think we need to go maybe to 14 milliseconds. 14 milliseconds seems nice. That seems reasonable. So right away, what we're going to do, we're going to put it close here. And then watch this. So right away, you could tell. You see what I mean? So not only that the camera is fixated in the center, but it's center right. And the other clip, as you could see, as I pass through, as well as the camera following, it's center right. The camera is center right because when Balrog moves, he moves, the camera moves with him. So it's still technically the center, but it's mostly near the right. So seeing that it's center right, and this Bison is activating his V trigger right at almost the same position as Ryu getting hit. So right away the audience is still following Balrog, and now it's going to be concentrated on what the Bison is going to be doing next. You see? Placement and focus. That's what it's all about. That's what I always do when it comes to making my videos. So now we're going to add a transition. We're going to add a center transition. So what I like to use is warp. Warp usually has very centralized transitions. So we could do a transition like this. This is actually one of my favorite ones. We could also do a kind of spinning transition, but we want to keep something simple. So we're going to do a very zoom in warp transition. And some of these transitions do have a long duration. So sometimes you have to reduce a little bit. You have to cut off a little bit of the replay. So we're gonna see how that works. All right. So I'm gonna fresh it up. And now we're going to watch it and see how it looks. You see? You see that? We still haven't gotten the hit. It, like, right away, your eye does not perceive the hit. You just see Balrog moving forward. You don't get the hit. So what we're going to do, as I told you, that the animations have more of a duration because it's longer. So we're just going to increase it a little bit. We're going to increase it by a bit. So when we increase it via milliseconds, not seconds. So right away we look at the duration. The duration of this clip is 4 seconds and 49 milliseconds. So we're going to increase the milliseconds by 2. And we're going to see how it looks. When I don't stress this enough. A lot of time when I'm going through my Daily Dose Hype videos, I spend a good 2 hours or an hour literally readjusting the replays so I can make sure that they harmonize well with the transitions. So there's a long process what goes into this. Nope, we still don't got it, so we're going to increase it a little bit more. And if not, we might just decrease the transition. So we're gonna do it. Yep, that's it. You see the hit. You see the hit, but we're going to increase it a little bit more because we do want to see that meaty hit. So we do want to feel that meaty hit when Bison activates his V trigger. Yeah. If you think about it, Bison's not really where Ryu's getting hit, though. But you know, it's a demo. It's a demo. I'm not that much of a good teacher. Booyah! So right away, you could tell that Bison activates his V trigger. So you got that. So right away, we're going to add another clip to continue the cycle. So we're going to do the same thing. Because the whole thing isn't over yet. It's far from over. So right away, Bison lands a stomp. So right away, when Bison lands the EX stomp, we want something to complement that. So one thing is that we also do downwards or upwards transitions. So how we're going to do that? Well, simple. We're going to use a similar character. What character, you may be asking? My favorite character. That would be Alex. My main character. So right away, as Bison takes a stomp, we want Alex to literally come. We want to clip off a part where Bison's second stomp is midair. So when we transition downwards, it will transition when Alex is midair, going downwards and hitting forwards, still keeping that momentum and that kinetic energy. Remember, kinetic transitioning. This is what Daily Dose of Hype is built off of. So we're gonna finish this entire sequence with that. So let's get that started. Alright, let's see. So Bison. So when Bison, the thing about Bison's stomp, the second stomp, is that the camera moves. The camera zooms in. That's a new feature, by the way. So yeah. So right away, we're right midway, as you could tell, Bison's getting ready to stomp a second time. We're gonna go like this, so you could see Bison getting ready for a stomp, and then we're gonna move to Alex. The sad thing about Alex is that he doesn't really have a zoom in, but you could give him a zoom in. you could do that, but we'll focus on that topic a different time. So right away, as Alex go for a second stop, we're going to get a transition. We're going to go back into speed blur. So what one thing I like using is this blur whirl number 4. So because it gives like a really cool like effect where it's just like it goes down and then stops and it just rubber bands back. So we're gonna see how it looks, and then we'll see how. And all right, so right away you could definitely see Bison getting ready to stomp though. But once more, there's too much animation, aka there's too much duration. So we'll have to increase the replay again. Like I said, I go through this all the time. Or better yet, we could increase it to the point where Bison literally stomps on Ryu. So we'll get ready for that. Okay, maybe that's a little bit too much. Yeah, so here we go. So let's take a look at that. So, all right, so let's take a look at that. That looks good. It's a little bit rushed. It's a little bit fast. So we're going to increase once more. We're going to increase the duration of this clip, the beginning of this clip. So now when you look at Alex going downwards, you could actually see it and feel it. So we're going to refresh. Yep, you see that? So now let's watch our little compilation video, shall we? And see how it looks. We're gonna turn on the sound and see for your guys' self what we made.
There you are. I'm ready.
All right. Let's watch that again because I want to watch that again because this is the thing why I like to call the editor's curse. Even though that your final project, your final result turns out pretty well, you're never satisfied on the final result. So I do see some bugs. I do see a little bit of bugs where I could do better, but it's it's a demo. It's a little teaching course. So you know I should stop being too hard on myself. So let's watch it again.
There you are. I'm ready.
So you see that? So you see all of that? That is the definition of kinetic transitionings. So that's the definition of kinetic transitions. The key thing you have to focus on is that the character has to always be in motion. It always has to keep its momentum in the fight, and any force, any kinetic force it finishes with, the next clip has to continue that same force either equally or greater. So when you have that, everything becomes everything is just perfectly harmonized. Everything just becomes perfectly harmonized, and everything just becomes just truly natural and truly fluent. And that's what I always do in every single Daily Dose of Hype video I make. I want to make sure that the audience is focused on the action, what's going on, to the point where it continues to the next scene. So it doesn't feel like one combo starts and then it ends. It feels that the combo starts and then it continues, but it continues with a different character to a different direction, and it changes towards impact, and it changes the impact to position and all that. So that's what I do. That's what I do. I make sure that the combo keeps on continuing, and it doesn't stop with one character. It continues with multiple characters keeping up the same momentum, the same and giving out the same kinetic force it finishes the opponent with. So that's the key bone of Daily Dose of Hype. That's the key structure I use to make sure when I'm making a combo video, it's not everyone's fixated and you could feel. Not only you could see the action, you could not only you could see the action, but you could also feel it. So yeah, that is kinetic transitioning. So I would like to show you a more advanced version of kinetic transitioning, as well as another thing I will talk to you guys about, aka timing. So I'm just going to show this to you guys. I'm not going to show you the whole enchilada. I'm just going to bring something up. So we're going to open a new. We're going to save this as demo. So just in case I have to come back to this. All right. So we're going to go to another Daily Dose of Hype I worked on. Yeah, I know. We're going to go on to another Daily Dose of Hype I worked on, and I'll show you about camera positioning and focusing and all that stuff. Okay, perfect. So this is a video I've done. Some time ago. So this is Daily Dose of Hype, Volume 45, aka Alpha Strike. It was the Street Fighter Alpha free themed video. I will go into this video in a greater depth in a later date. I just want to show you an example of what's called kinetic transitioning and keeping the audience focused on what you have to display. So right away, we're going to show you this. So we're going to show you everything. I'm going to show you, like I said, the whole enchilada, as I like to call it. I don't know why. So right away, we're going to start here. We're going to turn on the music, and then I'm going to walk you guys through what happens. So let's begin. So, what did you guys see in that entire sequence? So, right away, as you could tell, we're going to focus on Nakali. So, Nakali, we're going to turn off the music now. So, as you could tell in the video, Nakali's doing a combo. He's keeping that motion. He's keeping that motion in the ocean. He froze, but he continues moving on with the combo, and then it leads into a super. And remember what I told you about supers, how supers focus, all supers is all cinematic. So they always focus, or majority cinematic. So they always focus on what the character's doing. So the camera is always focus centered. So as you can see, Nakali getting ready to finish his final slash. Jesus Christ, that grin. When he's about to do that final slash, it transitions. It does a zoom out transition to Zeku activating a V trigger. So because the camera is really fixated around center right again, and its focus is in center left, because the camera's focused on center left. So when it translates to Zeku, it's not that bad, because when Zeku activates his V trigger, the camera zooms in for a split second, and with the zoom out, with the zoom out transition, it feels that the camera kind of has to readjust. So it kind of feels that the camera is kind of moving, turning to the left or to the right. So your eye is still fixated on Zeku's activation. So when Zeku finishes activating, he keeps up the momentum of the combo. But this momentum is a little bit slower. The reason why the momentum is a little bit slower is because when Necalli finishes his super, the momentum resets. Because the momentum resets. So this is actually anytime when a character finishes off with a super, I usually use a V trigger activation, what helps me change the momentum of the next following clips, and that is also dictated by music. So if I'm using, example, this song is always high paced. I'm using Vegeta's theme from Fighters, but let's say if I'm using a different song where it's like the music is really hyped up. It's really hyped up as Necalli. Like, imagine a song. So think about, like, you're listening. So there's a very hyped up tension music with Necalli doing a bunch of combos, doing this, and then the music keeps hyping up. It keeps hyping up, and then then the music the beat just drops right there, and then it's all slow. It's all calm, and then it picks up again. The music picks up again, and then Zeku does his combo. The music's hype, the music's going, the music's hype, the music's going. It keeps continuing till Bison activating his V-trigger. As I told you before, because of the camera being centered, your eyes are always focused on the next transition being a V-trigger. So yeah, and it keeps that same momentum, following the same music, with the same kinetic force. So everything just comes together into this great magical crescendo of synchronicity, and it just gives you that sense of excitement, joy, and fixation on what you're watching. And do you know what's called? Do you know what's that's called? That's called fucking hype. And like that, we will end our first session. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed what I had to offer.